What's up, everyone? It's DSP here with the next version of DSP Inbox. I got my thinking hat on, and I have much improved lighting from the last time. Actually, I was so disappointed with the lighting last time. I ran out and bought a new lamp for this room so that when I do these videos, I'd be able to have a lot better lighting, especially for this desk and everything. I think this is a nice backdrop for me to sit and kind of consider and think and answer questions. So a couple different things we did this time. First of all, I did take all of the questions from my email address, dspinbox@hotmail.com, and I sorted out the best ones. But also, what we're going to do from now on, I think it's a really good idea, is whenever I'm going to do one of these videos, which I'm going to try to do every 2 to 3 weeks, maybe, a couple minutes before I actually sit down to do the video, I'm going to put an update on my Twitter account to basically let everyone know I'm going to do it, and I'll take a couple really quick questions from Twitter as well. So today I actually took 5 or 6 really quick questions from Twitter, and I'll just rattle off really quick answers, whatever's like at the top of my head, when I go through. It won't be anything in depth, but I think it's a pretty cool little Twitter rattle off to do. And for those that don't know, my Twitter account is They Call Me DSP, so that's how you can find me on Twitter. And it's pretty cool because I usually do put updates on the videos that I'm going to make, things that are going on a daily basis, so it's a good way to keep in the know about what's going on with my channels on YouTube. Without further ado, let's take a look at some of the questions. Gee, hopefully I'll get myself into as much trouble as I did the last time I made one of these videos. So anyway, the first 2 questions go hand in hand, so I want to kind of read them both and then consider an answer. The first question is, hey Phil, I'm not sure if I asked this or not, but I was wondering what you thought of, I apologize because I didn't write it down properly. It's like SSHOPK. He's another person who does video game playthroughs with live commentary on Xbox. I'm saying on Xbox Live, on YouTube. He says, sorry to bug you. I realize this might not be important enough to be in one of your inbox videos, but I felt that it would be important to ask because I've been a longtime fan of both his and you. I hope you both succeed regardless of what happens. Sorry if I asked this already. That's from Mr. Go Lucky Fish. And then, in addition, here's another question from someone else. This is, let's see. My question is this. Would you consider working together with another walkthrougher, playthrougher on a game or maybe a project? Perhaps you can work with someone like Vash12349. I say this because both of you are funny in your unique ways, and I'm sure your fans, as well as his, a little bit of grammar missing there, would be eager to see 2 gaming legends collaborating with each other. That was from Janine. Interesting question. To be completely honest with everyone, and I've said this before, but it's worth mentioning again in an inbox video, I really don't spend a lot of time on YouTube watching videos. I don't even watch my own videos on YouTube. I'm too busy either playing games or with life or with work to be sitting around on YouTube. So, have I heard of these people before? Absolutely. I actually believe that that guy, SSHOPK, again, I apologize that I don't know his full name because I don't watch these videos on YouTube, but I believe he's actually contacted me before to ask me if I wanted to do a collaboration project. And the bottom line is this, what I do is really on the fly. It's not really time consuming, it's not planned out ahead of time in most parts. In fact, for example, a lot of the footage from this past weekend with me, with John Rambo, with my other friends Howard and Jerry, it wasn't planned out at all. It was just kind of spontaneous, calling people, hey, you guys want to come over and play some games? They came over, and voila, genius is born, and hilarity ensues, apparently. But yeah, like, if there ever were to be a big project where maybe multiple playthroughers wanted to do it, I guess I would be open to the idea. My only problem would be that, obviously, for something like that to work, logistically, I mean, being that when we don't really live in the same areas of the country, it would be difficult. Like, for example, I live in Connecticut. I don't know where these guys live. I'm sure it's not Connecticut. Either getting all of us together in the same room to do it, which obviously would be ideal because we could work off of each other and kind of plan out what we're trying to do. One person actually proposed to me like doing a Skype kind of a deal while you're playing the game. I'm not a fan of that simply because it's not live. You end up talking over each other. It sounds phony. And as you know, for me, I like actually sitting there to be there to play the game and give my live reactions to it. I don't want to do voiceovers or anything like that. So honestly, I wouldn't probably consider doing anything like that. Now, if anyone ever had an idea of a game that would be like a great game to do like a double or triple commentary on, I mean, yeah, I consider it, but I can't even think of a game like what kind of a game would lend yourself to be like that. I don't know. So yeah, is it a possibility? Absolutely. Is it something that I'm really thinking about right now? Not really. Like I said, I'm so busy with everything else that I'm doing, and just doing this stuff nonstop that I don't have time to really think about collaboration. But I'm not saying that I'm ruling it out. It is a possibility for the future. Okay. The next question. Let's see. I really appreciate your videos and your attitude toward the gaming industry. My question is this: this is a good one. As a fairly hardcore gamer, have you ever played, or rather been enslaved by the World of Warcraft? If so, what was your experience with the very popular game and its gaming developer Blizzard Entertainment? The reason I'm curious is because I know you have a lot to say about Bungie and Halo ODST, so I'm wondering if you have a story behind World of Warcraft as well. Keep up the great work, and that's from Saruman the Grey. Good question. And in general, I'm not even just going to address World of Warcraft, but MMOs in general. The first MMO I ever played was EverQuest, and I played it back in high school, and at that time that game was revolutionary. There was nothing really like that. The first 3D, heavily online multiplayer game, and it was a role-playing game. And I played it for a couple of months with my friend, but we kind of got bored with it because at that point it was brand new. I mean, I'm talking the release of EverQuest. That game had a shitload of bugs. I mean, there'd be dungeons and instances you'd go in, and you'd fight for 3 hours, and then you'd fall through the fucking floor. Your dead body would be stuck in the floor, and you'd be unable to go back and get all of your loot because you can't touch your body because it's in the goddamn floor. I mean, there was some retardedly broken shit in that game when it came out, but that's to be expected when a game like that is new, and it's revolutionary. After that, the next one that I played, I believe, was actually Final Fantasy XI. And that is very hit or miss. I actually had a group of friends that wanted to play it, and once we played it for like a month, we just got so fucking bored of it. It was more like they took ideas from EverQuest and other games and tried to put it together, but we didn't like it that much. And it's funny because a lot of people did like Final Fantasy XI, but I kind of view it as a failed experiment, almost like, it was a way for them to make money, and apparently they did make a lot of money, because here we come, Final Fantasy XIV is coming out the same year as Final Fantasy XIII, and it's an MMO. So, obviously they did something right there, but I don't know. Personally, we really didn't like it. And, yeah, I did play World of Warcraft. I actually played it twice. I played it when it was brand new for a couple of months, and then actually a year or two later, a coworker of mine convinced me to actually start playing it again. I played it for another several months. And the game was a lot of fun, let's be honest. It's a kind of game where if you really want to get into one game, you want to focus your time on that game, the game could be pretty rewarding. A lot of the higher level stuff, the unlocks, the raids, the instances can be fun. Being able to team up with your friends in a more of a social atmosphere, and that's really what that game's about. It's about the social aspect. If you're just soloing the game, it's not going to be nearly as fun as if you're teaming up with your friends, bullshitting, having a couple drinks here and there, and planning out strategies and things to try to beat the higher level monsters. But overall, those games, they just kind of lose their appeal to me, especially because, as you know, I like a variety of games. I love fighting games. I like FPSs, I like adventure games, I like role-playing games, I like a whole bunch of different games, and so for me to invest that much time into just one game is really, really just, I don't know, I didn't see it as beneficial, and a lot of my other friends who played it disagreed. A lot of them actually were playing that game hardcore for quite a long time, but for me, I just really didn't get into it that much, and so yeah, I mean, did I ever play World of Warcraft? Absolutely. Did I like it? I did like it while I played it. But after a while, it was just kind of like more of the same. Like, how much do I possibly want to grind and loot and do the same things over and over? It is addictive. That's really the reason why people play it so much. It's such an addictive formula. And there are other games that have come after that where just the grinding and the looting have become addictive. Like, for example, Borderlands. A lot of people love that game just because there was so much looting involved. And it was really repetitive killing to get loot. Other games similar to that, Final Fantasy XII actually copied the formula of an MMO, only it was a single-player game, and it was more about looting than anything else, going up, fighting up, grinding, and looting. So a lot of games are like that, and it is an addictive formula. It's something I consider playing, but it's not something that I would consider doing in a long term. And that's why some people have actually asked me, gee, would you ever do like a playthrough of World of Warcraft? How can I do a playthrough? The game doesn't end. The game doesn't have a finite beginning and ending. It just keeps going and going. So no, I would never play World of Warcraft on a video on YouTube simply because I would never be able to stop, or I wouldn't know where to stop, or I'd have to cut it short per se. Plus, it's too time consuming. I have a lot of games that I like to get to, and it's way too time consuming to play an MMO. A question I've got from about 7,000 people since I brought this up a couple weeks ago is, can we donate games? And the answer is, yes, I will begin to accept donations. However, please hold off, because here's the thing. I basically said, obviously I can't take them here. The reason I can't take them here is because in this condo facility, it's not like you have your own personal big mailbox. You get a mail slot or whatever, but a game wouldn't even fit in there. It's like a little box, magazines and stuff are in. So I couldn't even order a game. I mean, unfortunately, what would probably end up happening is they leave all my packages in the hallway, and who knows, in this day and age, people could just steal that. So no, unfortunately, if I were to start accepting donations, I'm either going to have to find an alternate address where I can accept them, or I might have to set up a P.O. box. So I've been thinking about what I'm going to do. I might talk to a couple people who I know who might be able to accept that kind of stuff for me. And if that doesn't work out, then I might go ahead and do a P.O. box. But I haven't really done too much thought yet. So give me some time to think about it and work on it, and then I'll get back to everyone and let you know if I will start accepting donations. Okay, another interesting question. This guy says, Dear Phil, as you know, Sony's going to be releasing HD collections of some of their games such as Ico and Shadow of the Colossus. Although I've never played these games yet, reviews say that both of these games are so beautiful that they could transcend just being a game, and basically they're a form of art. My question is, have you ever played a game that you would consider art, and if you've ever played either of those games from Team Ico? The answer is no, I didn't play either of the games. I did know about them, but that was back in the realm of PS2, and really I wasn't too hardcore into a lot of the PS2 stuff. I was more playing just fighting games back then than anything else. And so to answer your question, yeah, I do think that games could become art forms, and the reason I'm saying that is, unlike the old days, Super Mario Brothers, Legend of Zelda, those games had very basic premises and very basic art styles, and they were very limited in the way that they could portray a story. I think now, with games becoming, first of all, way longer than things like a blockbuster Hollywood movie, some of them becoming more engrossing, more detailed, more complex, and having beautiful graphical interfaces, and just being able to wow you with like, for example, Final Fantasy 13, for all its flaws with its plot and its horrendous voice acting and horrendous character design, the art style of that game was just beautiful. And could you say that game's a work of art? Absolutely. I'm really looking more towards the games like the Mass Effects, the original BioShock, those games that just tell such an original story and then combine it with a unique art style. Those games, I think, could be considered works of art, and I wish that these people who are art critics, things would start to take video games more seriously. The bottom line is this: the same thing used to happen with movies. People said, "Oh, movies aren't art; they're just these little snippets. They're a fad; they'll go away or whatever." Movies have now become such a part of the mainstream that everyone accepts them as serious works of art. There's multiple award shows every year for movies, so it's only a matter of time, I feel, before video games start to get that recognition. However, being that they are a relatively new medium, they've only really been around in a retail sense for about, 20 to 25 years now, realistically. It's going to be a while before I think they actually get to be taken seriously in that aspect. But I think we're getting there. I think a lot of games are really reaching that height of achievement. Alright, I think one more question here and then we'll jump on to page 2, so we'll split the video. This next question. Hey Phil, watching your videos I noticed that you pick up your games from the store. I'm wondering why, because here in the UK all of my friends and I order the games to be delivered. So there's two reasons for this, and it's a dual part question. Number one, I've already answered, is one method to get games delivered is to use a service like GameFly or use a service like Netflix. I don't use those simply because it's very hard to get the newest games on release day. In fact, most of those services get those games backlogged for months. I've said this before in a video, but a friend of mine last year actually wanted to play Batman Arkham Asylum, tried to get it from GameFly. He didn't get it for 2 months, and this was on his list like months before the game came out that he wanted it, he never got it. So for me to really be in the know and to be the first person, or not the first, but one of the first, at least be in a timely manner reviewing or playing through these games, I need to buy the games. The second answer here is why don't I get them delivered? I've kind of already answered. It's because to get a game delivered, you know, it might be in a big package, it might come in a box. And here in this condo facility, there's so many people. I think there's over 100 units. They're all jam-packed into this one hallway of mail. I wouldn't want them to leave a box just loose there in the hallway. And I'm not here all day to sign for packages. I'm at work. I live alone, so there's not like I could have someone here to sign for all my stuff. So unfortunately, unless I were to have all those games delivered somewhere else, and if I have them delivered somewhere else, that means I would have to drive whenever the games come out to go pick them up, which means less time to actually play the game. So the bottom line is what I usually do when a new game comes out is during a lunch break at work, I drive to the nearest game store, which is actually at my local mall. I pick up the game at lunch, and then when I get home from work, I play it. And incidentally, that's what I'm going to do tomorrow with Dead Rising 2. So that's it for part 1 of DSP's inbox for today. I'm going to come back with part 2. We're going to address a couple more questions. I think these will be a little bit more controversial, actually, than the previous questions here, and we'll go from there. Plus Twitter questions.